Your equations. This is a review of part 2. In today's lesson, students will review how to graph a linear equation by using a table. By using a what? Very good. So let's review how to graph a linear equation. Remember, a linear equation is in the form of y equals mx plus b. Here, there's no number in front of x, right? So technically, this number, though, would be invisible. It would be a 1, right? And this would be a positive 3, which means we're going to be adding 3 to whatever value we plug in for x. So we use a special term for x. Repeat after me. Say, substitution. Putting a number in the place of a letter. Let's try it one more time. I say substitution, then you say it. Ready? Substitution. Putting a number in the place of a letter. And this time, we're always going to be replacing the letter X. The letter what? Very good. So let's write this down. Use substitution to plug in, what are we plugging in? Numbers for X. To find what are we looking for? We're looking for Y. Okay? All right. So let's do that really quick so that you understand what that means. If Y equals X plus 3 and I plug in or I substitute 0 in the place of X, it'll go away, right? What is Y going to equal? Y is going to equal 3. Very good. Okay? What will happen if I substitute or plug in 1 in the place of X? Okay, if X is 1, I take 1 plus 3. What's 1 plus 3? Yes, it's 4. Very good. All right, let's substitute 2 in the place of X. Okay, so we're just doing this mentally now. What's 2 plus 3? 2 plus 3? It is 5. Okay. And then these values right here become coordinate points that you're going to do what with these points to make a line? What are you going to do with these points? You're going to graph, exactly. So graph these points, coordinate points, just like we learned last week. And we're going to connect them. It'd be great if you could do it with a straight edge or a ruler to make a, what can you make when you connect points? You can make a line. Very good. And you only need 2 lines to, or 2 points to make a line. Okay? But here we're going to use at least 3. Okay? So go ahead and get that down. So let's take a look at the first linear equation. It says y equals x minus 2. What does it say? Y equals x minus 2. Okay? So in this equation, we can plug in any value for x. We're substituting any value for x to find a value of y. However, we need to be subtracting 2 from x each time. Okay? What values for x should we use? We're going to use 0, 1, and 2. Now I could have chosen any numbers, but I chose those so that it would be simple for you. Okay? We're going to plug in each value of x, subtract 2 to get a value of y. And we're going to put y in this column here. Once we found x and y, we'll put them in a ordered pair so that we can graph a point, and then once we have our 3 points, we can connect the dots to make a line. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to start writing and doing our work in here. So we're going to write that y equals, what are we going to plug in for x? What are we going to plug in for x? We're going to plug in 0, correct. So 0 minus, or take away 2. What is 0 take away 2? If you're at 0, and then you're moving negative to the left, 2 over, you end up at negative 2. All right, So your value for y would be negative 2. Now we're going to take these two columns, or these two columns, which is x and y, and we're going to put them together as an ordered pair. So let's do that. What is x again? X is 0, and y is negative 2. Great. So let's graph that. 0, negative 2. We're going to start at 0 at x, where x is 0. Then we're going to go down 2. How many are we going to go down? 2. So we're going to put that point right here at 0, negative 2. What axis is this on? This is on the y-axis. Remember? See how? Okay. Next, let's go ahead and plug in 1. What are we going to plug in? 1. So we're going to write that y equals, well, if x is 1, I need to subtract 2. Now, what is 1 take away 2? Do we remember from integers? If we're at 1 and we take away 2 to the left, we end up at negative 1, right? Or if you realize that, hey, these are different signs. Is this positive 1? It sure is. And negative 2? Different signs, right? So you say, different signs subtract, keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. Remember this? So I'm subtracting 2 minus 1. The higher number is negative, and so when I subtract 2 minus 1, but I keep a negative, I'm at negative 1. We're going to put the 1 and the negative 1 together. 1 comma negative 1. And let's graph that, okay? 1, start at x at 1. Where are you going to start? 1. And then you're going to go down 1. So this is 1, negative 1, which is a quadrant 4. See how you're already, you could graph the line at this point because you only need 2 points to make a line. But we're going to do one more, okay? So let's plug in 2. Y equals, what is x? X is 2. And now we're going to subtract 2. This should be pretty simple. What is 2 take away 2? 2 take away 2 is 0. Very good. Okay? So we're going to write 0, and then when we put the ordered pair together, which is x and y, we're going to write what? What's the ordered pair? What's the ordered pair? What am I going to write right there? I'm going to write 2 comma, what's y again? 0. Now, we got to make sure we know how to graph 2, 0, right? So we're going to start at x. Where are we going to start? At 2. Are we going to go up now? Remember, the x-axis is where y is 0. So this is right on the x-axis where y is 0, but x is 2. Now we're going to take the 3 points and we're going to make a what, do you think? We're going to make a line. Very good. I prefer that you use a ruler of some kind or a straight edge paper. We can go ahead and make that line. What's important is make sure you put the arrows going up and down because the line can go forever. So go ahead and get that down. Let's take a look at example number 2. We have a new linear equation. It says y equals negative 2x plus 1. Okay, say it again. Y equals negative 2x plus 1. What is negative 2 and x? When they're together, they're being multiplied, right? They're being what? Multiplied. What can we add or put around x to show multiplication? We can put parentheses. We can put what? Parentheses. To show, you know what, we're going to have to multiply negative 2 times whatever we plug in for x and then add 1 in order to get y. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to have to probably show our work underneath. Let's write y equals, all right, remember, first we're going to plug in 0. We're going to plug in what? 0. And let me ask you, what is negative 2 times 0? What is negative 2 times 0? I want you to think about that. Any number times 0 is 0, right? And then you're going to add 1. So this essentially becomes 0 plus 1. What's 0 plus 1? 0 plus 1 is 1. So y is going to be 1. So when x is 0, y is 1. So we're going to write for x, we're going to write 0. What are we going to write for y again? We're going to write 1. Let's go ahead and graph 0, 1. Starting at the x-axis, which axis? X. Are we going to go up or down? up, right? How many? 1. So this is 0, 1. What axis is this on? It's on the y-axis, right? Again, if a point is on the y-axis, that means that the x-axis is 0. Okay, let's do the next one. Y equals, we're going to multiply -2 times 1. Okay, then we're going to add 1 to it. So we have to remember Bob here, right? What is negative times positive? It's negative, right? You remember Bob? I'll draw Bob right here. A negative times a positive is negative, isn't it? Okay. Negative times positive is negative. And so, we just have to ask ourselves, or put in a calculator, -2 times 1. What would you get? What's -2 times 1? It's -2, right? So then we're going to get that y equals -2 plus 1. All right. Are these the same signs or different signs? Same signs or different signs? Right? Different signs. Subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. So again, we have -2 plus 1. Remember it from the last example? It's what? It's -1, exactly. All right, cool. So we're at 1, -1, again. 1, -1. Cool. I'll make my ones like this. Okay, so 1, -1. Remember, we're going to start with 1. On the x-axis, we're going to go down how many? 1. Exactly. And you can already start to see that these points are kind of going down, right? The reason why is because when we talk about slope, which is this number we're multiplying by, if it's negative, the line goes down, okay? Let's do the last one. Y equals, what is x again? X is 2, so -2 times, what is x? X is 2. And then we're going to add 1. Cool. So remember, Bob, what is -2 times 2? -2 times 2, tell me. Yes, it's -4. So we get -4 plus 1. Do we have different signs again? A -4 and a +1? What should you say? Different signs, subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. So I'm doing 4 minus 1, right, in my head. And then the bigger number is what? 4. So if I put that in a calculator, I would get, what goes here? It's -3. Very good, -3. Cool. So our ordered pair then is going to be what? What goes here? What's x? X is 2. What's y? It's -3. So we're going to write 2, -3. Great, so let's graph that really quick, okay? Let's graph that. So we're going to start at 2, where x is 2. Where are we going to go? Down what? Down 3. So we're going to start at 2. We're going to go down 1, 2, 3. Now, this is where it becomes really important to use a ruler or some sort of a straight edge, because you're going to see that this line is pretty steep. Okay? So we're going to connect the points to make a line. Make sure you add arrows in both directions to show the line goes on forever. Go ahead and get that down.